for so many smallholder farmers in Kenya, their livestock, it's not just animals. It's their livelihood, their financial stability.
Absolutely. It's everything. So when disease strikes, the impact, well, it can be just devastating.
Right. So today we're diving into a real-world story, a case where a safety net actually worked.
Exactly. We're looking at a specific Kenyan dairy farmer who actually received an insurance payout for a sick cow. And this wasn't just luck.
No.
It shows a system, a process in action. And we've got some good details on how it all played out.
Yeah, we do. We're drawing from an Imfuyo article about this specific case, but also bringing in context from the Kenya News Agency, Business Daily Africa, the World Bank's D-Drive program.
And the Kenya Veterinary Association, too. So it's not just one anecdote. It's part of a bigger picture.
Exactly. Our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to really get a handle on how livestock insurance is working on the ground in central Kenya, specifically.
And how things like technology and maybe just good old-fashioned diligence from the farmer can provide that crucial protection.
Okay, so let's get into the story. Tell us about the farmer.
Right. So this involves Mr. Sam George. He's a dairy farmer in central Kenya, and he had this prized cow, Black Frisian, tag number 474.
Right.
But unfortunately, the cow got sick. It contracted lumpy skin disease, LSD, which is, a pretty serious viral thing in cattle, causes big economic losses.
And despite vet care?
Despite treatment, yeah, the cow sadly didn't make it. And you can imagine for a smallholder farmer like Mr. George losing an animal like that, that's a potential financial disaster.
A huge blow. But this is where the story takes a turn, right?
Yeah.
Because he had insurance.
Exactly. That's the key detail. Mr. Norwich had insured his livestock. It was through a partnership involving this group, Mfuyo, and a regular insurance company.
And because he'd taken that step.
Because of that, he received a payout, 72,000 Kenyan shillings, which is what, around 480 US dollars?
That's a significant amount, a real cushion against the loss.
A very significant cushion. And what's really interesting is apparently how smoothly the whole claim process went.
Okay, let's break that down. How did it work, step by step?
All right. Step 1, immediate reporting. As soon as Mr. George identified the illness, he alerted Mfuyo.
And Mfuyo is like the go-between.
Exactly. They're the intermediary. They use their tech platform to pass the information straight to the insurer much quicker, potentially, than, older methods.
Right. Efficiency is key there. Okay, what's next?
Step 2 was documentation. And this seems really crucial. Mr. Nenderoj apparently kept very thorough records.
Like what kind of records?
Well, detailed notes on the symptoms he observed, all the vet reports and prescriptions, records of the treatments given, invoices.
Wow.
And comprehensive photos, too. Plus, of course, the animal's ID, tag 474, and the official vet diagnosis, lumpy skin disease.
That level of detail. You can see how that would make a difference. It's all verifiable.
Totally. It really underscores that good data, clear proof, is fundamental for insurance claims to work smoothly.
So after reporting and documenting.
Step 3 was communication and compliance. Basically, he kept in touch, followed up, and sent over requested documents quickly. That included things like post-mortem photos, which helps speed up the verification.
So the farmer's active participation was important, too.
And very much so. Then step 4, the insurance company sent out their own certified assessors for an independent on-site evaluation.
Standard procedure, I guess.
Yeah, but because Mr. Nodroja's records were so solid and he was open with them, the validation seems to have happened pretty quickly. No big delays or drawn-out investigations.
Which leads to the final step.
Step 5, settlement. The insurer approved the claim and released that KES 72,000 payout.
It's a great example. It shows that insurance can work effectively, even in rural areas, if you have the right tech and processes in place.
And that farmer diligence, the record keeping.
Definitely. So let's talk more about Mfuyo's role. You call them an intermediary, but it sounds like they're doing more than just passing messages, more like an agri-fintech.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, they're kind of bridging that gap between traditional insurance and the needs of these farmers using technology.
How did that work in practice? You mentioned real-time data tracking.
Right. So their platform pulls together data, maybe from the farmer using an app, maybe digitizing vet records, perhaps even using remote sensing data in some cases. I'm not sure on the specifics for this one.
Okay.
But the goal is to build a sort of accessible digital health record for the animal. They also manage the digital documents for the claim, making everything transparent and faster.
And they help farmers collect this data.
Yeah, reports mention specialists working with farmers, consulting them, helping ensure the data going in is actually accurate. about education and support, too.
That makes sense. Connecting this individual story back to the bigger picture in Kenya, climate change is a huge factor, right? Droughts, disease outbreaks becoming more common.
Absolutely. Things like lumpy skin disease, which Mr. Norwich faced, these outbreaks are a growing concern, often linked to changing climate patterns. And drought, of course, is a massive recurring issue.
And we're seeing more farmers turning to insurance.
The numbers suggest so. The Kenya News Agency reported, I think for 2025, over 173,000 farmers enrolled in various schemes, covering something like 600,000 animals.
Wow, that's significant uptake.
It is. And look at the World Bank-backed DRIVE program. They've apparently paid out 2.7 billion shillings in claims and subsidies, mainly helping pastoralists in those really drought-prone counties.
And the need is clearly there. What were the livestock loss numbers from recent droughts?
Staggering. National reports mention losses of around 2.5 million head of livestock in the recent cycles. Just huge numbers. It really highlights the urgency for wider insurance coverage.
So the need is there, the tech is evolving, we have success stories like Mr. George's, but it's not all smooth sailing, is it? What are the challenges?
No, definitely not. There are still significant hurdles. Awareness is a big one. Just making sure farmers in rural areas even know these insurance options exist and how they work.
And trust, probably.
Trust is huge. If there have been bad experiences in the past, maybe delays in payouts or claims denied unfairly, that creates skepticism. It takes time and positive examples to rebuild that.
Cost must be an issue, too.
Of course. Without subsidies, like those in the DRIVE program, the premiums can be a barrier for smallholders who are already operating on tight margins.
And infrastructure. Digital access.
That's another one. You know, reliable internet or even smartphone access isn't universal, especially in more remote areas. That can limit the effectiveness of some tech-based solutions.
Plus the documentation aspect we talked about. That was key for Mr. George, but maybe not every farmer can easily provide that level of detail.
Exactly. Keeping detailed records, getting timely vet diagnoses, taking photos, that requires resources and know-how that might not always be readily available. It's a challenge.
But it does sound like companies like Infuyo are trying to tackle some of those issues directly, particularly around data and process efficiency.
They are. They're trying to bridge those gaps. And hearing directly from a farmer who benefited makes a difference. You mentioned Mr. George had a quote.
Yeah, he said, "Insurance isn't just a policy. It's peace of mind when everything else fails, especially when facing unpredictable diseases like lumpy skin disease."
That's powerful. That kind of testimonial from a peer can really shift perceptions. It makes it real.
It moves it beyond just a concept or brochure. It shows tangible benefit, builds that trust we talked about.
It frames him as a sort of ambassador for this approach.
So wrapping this up, what's the core message from Mr. Neuroj's experience?
I think it really drives home that livestock insurance isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. For farmers facing increasing risk, it's becoming essential for resilience, for stability.
And his success story wasn't magic. It came down to sort of three key things.
Yeah, I'd say. Data, dialogue, and dedication. The data provided through Infuyo's system, the ongoing dialogue and communication, and Mr. George's own dedication to documenting everything properly.
That combination seems to be the winning formula here.
It really shows how this collaboration, the farmer, the tech provider, the insurer, it can deliver genuine financial support and, honestly, dignity when disaster strikes.
It turns insurance from this abstract promise into concrete, timely help. Proper records, quick action, tech support, they make it happen.
It really does, and it makes you think, doesn't it, about the ripple effects.
How so?
Well, think about the wider impact of these schemes succeeding more often. On the whole agricultural economy in Kenya, on community well-being, especially in places so vulnerable to climate shocks and disease.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you wonder what other areas, what other sectors could use this kind of data-driven, tech-enabled insurance model to provide a similar safety net against unpredictable risks? Where else could this approach make a real difference?